I'm leaving today, there's nothing to keep me. The doors they are bolted, the windows are nailed. I'm leaving a land that has nothing to offer. A land of a people who struggled and failed. Like the globe, struggling, failing to keep its grip in the minds of people who think and do their own experiments, and they can demonstrate that we're not living on a spinning ball. It's bloody obvious, actually. Your own senses tell you every minute of every day. Otherwise, you'd be, well, if the Earth was actually spinning at 1,037 miles an hour at the equator, which means it's about 600, 550 where I live, I would be clinging on to the actual Earth itself, wouldn't I? And that bullshit about the atmosphere being gravitationally locked. Now, just think about that. Really think about that. It's bullshit. Of course it is. Apply logic. The result is the globe is bullshit. Anyway, it's a bit gloomy, a bit dark. That's because the sun's gone far enough away not to be seen. It's quite obvious, really. Any artist should know. I know a couple of artists that are still clinging onto the ball Earth belief. Still disciples for Brian Cox and the like. But any artist will be able to tell you, or should do, that perspective makes things disappear from the top and from the bottom and from the sides, actually. But, well, there is a vanishing point, and all those at that point is the point of convergence, where things get smaller as they go further away. Okay, now it's not, well, I was going to say rocket science, but that's bullshit as well. Because rockets don't work in a vacuum. That can be proved, and it has been several times. Anyway, the point I was mulling over today was, and I've come across this a few times, the peer pressure. The majority of people, I would say, have a close relationship with a few people, friends, family members, etc. And if they are the first ones to stick their head over the parapet, i.e. they found out, they discovered that the Earth is not a spinning ball, well, they may feel ashamed. It's ridiculous, but they may feel ashamed because we're programmed to think of that realization as unintelligent, and it's actually the reverse. But we are programmed to think that the Earth being, well, obviously the water on the Earth is level, and that makes the Earth generally the same, level, flat. But I know it's not flat, as it's undulating. But you get what I mean. The further away you go from it, the flatter it looks, like anything that is flat. So a lot of people don't even get to that stage. That's the problem. This is the main problem. Now, if you know the Earth is not a spinning ball, and you daren't broach the subject with your friends or family, then, fair enough, as long as you have the correct information in your head. But it's the other people. Now, I heard Antonio describe it very well. It's the adult believing in Father Christmas. Now, the globe, Mary and Joseph and Jesus, and Father Christmas, the Tooth Fairy, they're all the same. The stories, it's nonsense. But the globe seems to be the one that kind of you can't shake off, like a piece of dog shit that you've just stood in, and you're trying to, kick it off. You've got to actually take it home and dig in there with a knife that you wouldn't use not for eating anyway. You know the sort of thing I mean. Power wash the dog shit out of your soles of your shoes. And that's what you need to do with the globe. Anyway, the problem is, and how Antonio described it, I think kind of sums it up. When you're a child, you probably believed in Father Christmas. Your parents lied to you, and they told you there was this magical person who lived probably in the North Pole or wherever, Lapland or wherever they may have told you he lives. And he, on one night of the year, magically delivers presents for every good girl and boy. Now, you have to suspend your disbelief. And to go along with that, in the first place, I used to lay in bed at night and try and understand how he did that. I was probably about 17 no, I was probably about 7, or I don't know how old I was, but not 17. And eventually, when I did find out, I've probably said this before, but I was devastated. Not because Santa was a myth or not real, but because my parents had lied to me. That's the devastating thing I felt. So I couldn't trust them again. But that's not the point of what Antonio was saying. He said that the people who will not look into the obvious fact that the Earth is not a spinning ball are the people that lay in bed at night on Christmas Eve and hear the rustling downstairs of the presents being put under the tree. Mine were actually put on my the end of my bed. But, whichever tradition you go for. I'm just using this as an example, as Antonio said it. And the curious amongst us would sneak a look at who was doing it. Now, when curiosity got the better of you and you sneaked a look and you saw it was your mum or your dad or your guardian, that would shatter the illusion. But good on you for doing that, for wanting to find out, to destroy the lie. But there are many adults who won't even look into it. The flat earth. They are frightened. Now, I remember being sort of a little bit frightened of Santa. He was going to actually fill my sack at the end of my bed. Um, So if I saw him, maybe I would turn to stone, or I don't know. But I didn't want to see him. I didn't like, as long as he left the presents, just leave the presents and fuck off. That's that's the attitude I probably had. I didn't want to see him because I was kind of scared something might happen to me. I might not get me presents next year. If I spoke to him or said, "Hey, what are you doing?" Oh, I wouldn't have said that, but I would have just trembled under the covers. It wouldn't be a duvet in those days. But that's what adult people are doing now. They are trembling under their probably duvets, and they will not have a look. And that's, well, it's shameful. It's very disappointing. But just think about it. They can't be asked to actually examine their religious belief. It's like dying and not seeing God, not coming to the pearly gates, and I don't know what happens when you die. No idea. Although I have been very close to death a couple of times, apparently. I can't remember it. I was out. But I can't tell you anything about it, really. I had lots of... Anyway, that's another story for another day, perhaps. But how sad that people either can't be bothered, because this question, are we living on a static plane, or are we spinning through, hurtling through space at 2 or 3 million miles an hour, the vacuum of space, which there's no actual demonstration of, never has been. There's no, the spin of the Earth has never been detected. All these stars in their constellations remain exactly how they have been for thousands of years. Polaris is always in the same place in the sky and has been for thousands of years. There's no parallax. People say, oh, there is a little bit of parallax. Yeah, okay, there is a little bit, but then they go back again. Now, if that doesn't scream out to you that is some kind of mechanism, then you're a moron. So, is it the fact that people are too frightened to go and have a peek at Santa Claus, or in other words, the flat Earth, that find it wasn't Santa Claus after all? It's somebody else putting your presents there. And if they looked into the globe Earth and tried to prove it to themselves, like I did, because that's the direction you want to go. Don't, oh, is the Earth flat? Well, let's have a look. Now then, can I find proof of the globe? And you can't. None. Not a single ounce of proof. There's very little evidence. So I implore people to do it. Just find some courage. We are meant to think. We've been programmed to think that the term flat Earth is some kind of cave-dwelling belief, and it really isn't. In fact, the globe has been programmed into us from a very early age. When we couldn't really protest, we would always defer to authority, when you're 5 and 6, just starting primary school. And any questions that you may have asked would just be kind of ridiculed by the teacher. The other pupils would laugh at you, and that would put you off asking questions. So find some courage. Make that first step. Doesn't matter what your friends and family believe. That doesn't matter. Everybody should have their own personal knowledge of where they are. And if you can't bring yourself to do that, you'd rather watch some bullshit on the telly, some shit soap or quiz show, or something like that. And that is just to occupy your mind, so you don't educate yourself properly. Because knowledge is what you seek, not belief. Knowledge. Good luck.